Thank you so much for joining this 2022 GOT Outcomes Awards informational webinar. My name is Katrina McCarthy, and I am a Senior Associate for the Evaluation and Research team here at CADCA, and we manage this award program. So today we'll just kind of briefly go over the application process, what those requirements are, how to become a Blue Ribbon Coalition, and of course, speak to our 2021 GOT Outcomes winners. So joining us today from Coalition in Focus at Levittown Community Action Coalition is Janet. Janet is the project coordinator for the Levittown Community Action Coalition, or LCAC for short. She is a founding member of her local coalition, which she is still a member of, and is a team leader for a global human trafficking organization. She is a longtime community advocate with a passion for prevention and the safety of all children. She is honored to work with so many dedicated individuals, but she especially loves working with the Youth Coalition. And then we also have from Coalition of Excellence, Prevent Coalition, we have Leanne Reed, and she has had a long career in countering the harms of substance use and misuse. She began her career in the 1990s working with homeless late-stage addicts as a substance abuse counselor. And over the years, she has worked her way up the river by working with youth in treatment settings and then in school settings as a prevention interventionalist specialist. Currently, she is a certified prevention professional specialist and the prevention program manager at Educational Service District 112, where she manages 11 community coalition coordinators. I want to see if they want to pop their heads in and just say hi really quickly, but we'll definitely be hearing more from them towards the end.
Just hello and welcome and good luck to everybody with the application process and everything you get to glean and learn from this.
Hi, everybody. I'm happy to be here and happy to share some really good insights about the whole process. So enjoy.
All right, thank you so much. We will hear from them at the end once we go through all these requirements. So just a brief history about the GOT Outcomes Awards. For 18 years, GOT Outcomes has recognized exceptional community coalitions that effectively contribute to alcohol, tobacco, and other drug and use and misuse prevention. And this whole process has really had many iterations over the years. It used to be a very, very lengthy process where coalitions had to make completely new documents to submit, and it was over 25 pages long and definitely required a lot of work. So instead, we wanted to revamp this over the last few years to really make sure that the application is very synergistic to the coalition's efforts. We didn't want them to have to put in more effort just to show what they've been able to do. We want to really use the things that they already have. And so over the last few years, we've created a combination of a few different elements that you see. In 2019, we aligned the application process to what is taught at the National Coalition Academy. So those foundational products that they're learning about and creating, those are the same ones that we would have you submit. And so that encourages coalitions to continuously update and utilize what they used and what they have learned in the NCA. We also included a little bit more coalition development support through different feedback reports, specialized CDS calls and proactive calls, just to make sure that if there are any questions, we're here for your improvement and to help your coalition be a better version of itself and to really achieve those outcomes. And so this coalition development support is a key factor in all of this. In addition, the application process helps us get information and insight into what resources we can provide and what trainings might be necessary to really fill in any gaps. And then, of course, this last one that we included last year is the Blue Ribbon Coalition Program. And so I'll be talking a little bit more about that in a little bit. But this new combination of elements has hopefully been very beneficial for our coalitions in supporting their work. And some of our previous winners, have moved on to become members of CADCA's Coalition Advisory Council and have become experienced trainers. And even Leanne, who is on the call, is in the process of becoming a trainer herself. She is a TOTer, and it sounds like she's been having a pretty good experience so far. So continuing this year, the biggest one right now is really this Blue Ribbon Coalition application process. This is what we had started last year, and we're kind of reframing it to really focus on this Blue Ribbon Coalition application process. So coalitions that move on to phase 2 will be specially recognized for doing an exceptional job updating and utilizing their products. It is a 2-year recognition, and you would need to reapply through this Blue Ribbon Coalition application process. It's a bit wordy. But yeah, this is the only way for you to become a Blue Ribbon Coalition, and so you've got to apply. The prominence of this new recognition was really demonstrated during CADCA's 2022 National Leadership Forum, when we did launch and announce our first class of Blue Ribbon Coalitions. Even Dr. Gupta, from the Director of National Drug Control Policy, had spoken about it in one of his speeches. And I know that there was a lot of coalitions who brought a lot of visibility of this recognition to their legislators during Capitol Hill Day. And so we definitely want to continue promoting this new process. So coalitions in year 2 of their DFC grant are definitely encouraged for this recognition. We want to see how you're able to apply what you've learned at the National Coalition Academy into your community. And also we want to be able to provide any additional support that we can to help you go through this process and go through the life of your entire grant. So some of the other things, there will be the Blue Ribbon Coalition celebration at the 2023 National Leadership Forum to show that recognition. We are continuing to kind of update our grading rubric so that it is aligning with the National Coalition Academy and making sure that they're very succinct. And hopefully this online application submission and grading process just makes everything a little bit smoother alongside the different components that we have put together. And so I just wanted to give a little shout out to our Blue Ribbon Coalitions. There are 19 of them, 16 are DFC coalitions, and 13 of those are DFC year 2. And of course, this does include our current God Outcomes winners as well, but they've been featured on our social media, our Coalitions in Action, in our newsletter, and we're trying to provide some additional opportunities to help their coalition grow and get some exposure to the prevention field. And of course, like I said, having some of that visibility with their legislators and Dr. Gupta really talking about it has been helpful as well. So going into the actual application process itself, these are the different award categories. So of course, there is the Blue Ribbon Coalition, the special recognition for those who move on to phase 2 of the application process. But for God Outcomes, the core awards are Coalition Focus, which really focuses on the short-term outcomes, Coalition of Excellence, intermediate outcomes, and Coalition of the Year for long-term outcomes. And so you can choose one of these based off of the outcomes that you've been able to achieve in your community. So there are 2 phases in this application process. This first phase really focuses on the coalition products that you learned about and created and hopefully are using after the National Coalition Academy. So you have your community assessment, logic model, all those things up on the screen. And so these products were the same ones that were reviewed for your graduation and things like that. Another part is the description of the outcomes. It wouldn't be God Outcomes without the outcomes piece. And so this description would really include a clear picture of the outcomes you've achieved, includes some supporting data points to really show the trends over time, And of course, these are based off of the award category that you choose. Templates can be found on the website for all of these coalition products, as well as for the description of coalition outcomes. You'll have the link down below to take a look at that on our website. And they don't necessarily have to look exactly like that, as long as all of the information is included. It's definitely a guide, but use it as you will. Phase 2, typically the top 25% of coalitions. Phase 2 really allows you to showcase how you're able to achieve these positive outcomes. It's about a 10 to 15 slide presentation, very short and concise. And it really tells the coalition story, the thought process, steps you've taken, different activities, and just kind of frames it in a way that would be easy to present to any type of stakeholder. The infographic is the second piece and is a quick and easy way to lay out important information in a very appealing and eye-catching way. Depending on the infographic audience, it can be shared throughout your community. And so these two products are very intentional, and we wanted to make sure that these were able to be repurposed for you to be able to share with your stakeholders, your coalition members, your community, something you can just make with little tweaks. But and I'm looking at the chat really quickly. I'll put the link in the chat at the end, and you will be getting the slides to look at as well, so don't worry. So just a quick recap of the phase 1 application steps. You want to select one use substance issue that your coalition has successfully addressed and would like to highlight in this application. You will select an award category based off of the outcomes you've been able to achieve. And then you will submit the supporting coalition products, outcomes description, and just a basic application form so that we know who you are. And once again, that link is down at the bottom of this slide, which you guys will receive at the end or sometime soon after the webinar. So now I kind of just want to look at the rubric a little bit so that you guys have an understanding of how you guys will be graded based off of what you submit. And so this is a quick breakdown. It's out of 100 points. And some of these products are weighted a little bit differently due to their importance. So you'll notice that the logic model and strategic and action plan are some of the core pieces to, the foundation of your coalition's work. And so we want to make sure that there is a bit of an emphasis put onto those specific products. So this is just like a little snippet of what the actual rubric looks like. You'll see on this one, this is the community assessment, 10 points. There's a couple different sections. There's a definition of community, and there's community history and so on. What you'll see at the top with the letters are the specific requirements for that component. So for definition of community, you want to define the community to be addressed, include geographical characteristics of the community, demographic characteristics, and of course, any communities within communities. And so based off of those requirements, depending on how many pieces you meet, this bottom part in the green box is the actual rating. It would be between 0 to 4. And, just like it looks like, if you include all these elements, including a description of how the characteristics impact substance use in the community, you would receive a 4. 3, you include all the elements, things like that, and it just kind of goes down. And you'll also notice here in that purple box, the scores 0 through 4 are a weighted score, just so that gives you an idea of how that plays into the point system and how each product is weighted out. So definitely take a look at the rubric, especially as you are going through and creating and updating your products for submission. You want to make sure you're not missing anything. And this rubric really lays out exactly what you should be looking out for. And this is what the graders will be using. So definitely do not miss out on looking at the rubric. Now, mapping outcomes to the logic model. Since the outcomes is such an important piece, and a lot of those data points are tied to the data points for your logic model, I wanted to kind of show you what we're looking at when you do apply for a specific award category. So for instance, this is your coalition in focus. You have short-term outcomes. This means that you have made some movement in your local conditions. And so in your application, you want to really highlight that local condition that had positive outcomes and include a baseline with 1 to 2 follow-up data points to show that trend. So this one's pretty straightforward. Coalition focus, you have 1 local condition to really highlight. For coalition of excellence, there are 2 different ways you can go about this. Still looking at those intermediate outcomes, which are looking at your root causes. And so one way that you can really highlight your intermediate outcomes is to look at 1 root cause and their 2 adjoining local conditions with the appropriate data points to really follow that. Or you can do 1 root cause to 1 local condition and then the other root cause to another local condition. It just kind of depends on where you've been able to make some progress. And similarly enough, for coalition of the year, you'll look at the long-term outcomes, which relates to the problem. And so you will have 2 options once again. You'll look at the problem to 1 root cause to the 2 local conditions, or you can also demonstrate it this way with the problem 1 root cause to 1 local condition and another root cause to a different local condition. So definitely use these kind of mappings as a reference as you are kind of mapping out how your outcomes have been achieved and what you highlight in that description of outcomes. So some helpful reminders, some questions that we've gotten over the years, and I just want to make sure that they're addressed so that no one is confused. Even if you are only submitting for coalition of focus and looking at just 1 local condition, when you submit your logic model, you still need to submit a full logic model. So a problem, 2 root causes, 4 local conditions, plus 2 data points for each of them. Now, based off of your award category, you can just mark off which parts of your logic model you're actually going to be addressing for the outcomes piece. So they're kind of 2 separate things, the actual logic model itself and then the outcomes. You want to make sure that you are including your data in the community assessment. Police arrest numbers, focus group data, survey data, essentially any data that's on your logic model should be found in the community assessment as well. So make sure that those are included. For the strategic and action plan, we are looking at goal 1 and goal 2. So increasing community collaboration and of course, reducing youth substance use and misuse. So make sure that both of those are included in your strategic and action plan when you submit. We are also encouraging coalitions to, really regularly update and renew their products. And so those are always going to be the best materials to submit for the application. And once again, please, please, please use the grading rubric. I think it is a great tool for you to be able to reference before you submit your application. And this really tells you exactly what the graders will be looking at. So just a little bit of information of why you should participate. Once again, get that feedback from us on your coalition's products. Let us help you be able to make any improvements or suggestions, or feel free to ask us any questions that you have. So that free coalition development support is really there. There is that opportunity to be recognized as a CADCA Blue Ribbon Coalition. And there's the opportunity to participate in the Ideas Fair poster presentation and Blue Ribbon event at CADCA's 2023 National Leadership Forum. As for those who do achieve a God Outcomes Awards, you will be recognized throughout different CADCA communications, like our newsletters, our websites, and things like that. You will be featured at the CATCA Got Outcomes workshop at the 2023 National Leadership Forum. There is the eligibility to participate in the Graduate Coalition Academy, and of course, some other opportunities for your coalition leaders to be considered for CATCA training or leadership opportunities. And so I would like to kind of just go into our panelist discussion. I have some questions here for our panelists right now, but if you have any additional questions for them, please go ahead and put them in the question and answer box, and we will get to that after this. And so I think Leanne is on, and then Janet, if you'd like to pop up, I'll go ahead and just start asking some of these discussion questions. So what steps did you take to complete this application? Feel free to start whenever.
Who gets to go first? One of the things I was thinking about when you were talking about it is just, first of all, I just want to say how great this process is, because it really helped us just look at our coalition effectiveness, and it helped us transfer the history of our coalition. We are a 10-year completer, so going through this, looking at our past products and outcomes really helped us continue those strategies and help them to be more effective, because we were looking at how they were related to outcomes. And it helped us know that we can have some sustainability, not just to the coalition, but to the outcomes. And one of the first steps that I took that I would recommend to anybody that's on here is, I think we printed that rubrics out the first moment it came out. That didn't mean we started checking everything off, but it was in our mind. And so we had that rubrics printed even before we started the application, because as we went through our daily work with the coalition, we'd think of things that were in that rubrics and start to kind of wake our mind up to where we were at readiness and what we needed to do to prepare for it. And the other thing is we pulled up those products from the first time that someone went to NCA to the people who had gone to the Graduate Coalition Academy, and kind of lined them up and looked at them. So we really used the tools that CATCA had given us along the way and started looking those as we looked at the steps to begin and complete our application.
All right, thank you so much, Janet.
Yeah, so a lot of what Leanne said, we didn't actually set up a committee, but we did work closely together as a coalition, just to make sure our products were where we wanted them to be. And, you know, the Academy was a wonderful training, learned so much from it. And then you kind of get back from training, and sometimes you lose a little bit of it, and you're trying to now teach everybody in the coalition what you learned. But you know, we continued to work on our products, which is key, really. And our one-page description that we had to work on came directly from the community assessment, but also adding in the significant favorable outcomes graphic, so we could show it there in that portion of the application process. And so really just working together to making sure that each product was exactly, you know, updated, and we went over it, and it was just a great experience to be able to do that. And it made a lot of the volunteers, right, because we're all volunteers, and it made them feel really connected more to the work by doing this whole process.
All right, thank you so much. I'll go on to the second question. How has the application process and the submission really influenced your coalition's work afterwards?
One of the things I think it did for us is really helped us to focus on data. And we are fortunate. I live in Washington State. We get a beautiful state survey on our schools. So we get nice quantitative data. But as always, coalitions need that qualitative data to tell the story and give you support in your logic model. And it helped us really key in and focus on that and do it in a way that continually showed and matched up year after year. And it's something that we're going to continue to focus on because it shows what the outcomes are. I mean, I knew we had an effective coalition and it was doing what it needed to, but did I know how to capture that and write it down? And there were some weaknesses there. And this application process showed us those, helped us improve them, and they're going to be better going forward.
Thank you, Leanne. Janet.
And as I said before, the process really forced us to look at our products and work with them. You know, we're so focused on doing the strategies and our action plan that we lose sight of all of that other stuff. And so, you know, in the second phase, creating the infographic was a lot of fun, and it really brought us all together and trying to be creative with it. It was really, really helpful. So it really helped us to work together more on the overall products and telling the story about the coalition and making an open mind and more in tune with the community. So.
No, that makes a lot of sense. All right, question 3. What difficulties did you face while, you know, going through your products and working through your application?
One of the things that we found is with that qualitative data, we're not evaluation specialists as coalition coordinators or prevention specialists, but we kind of need to become that. And we found some of our questions over the years had changed just ever so slightly. But what that did is that made them not line up. Or maybe one time we did a key stakeholder survey, and then the following time we did a survey, it was with youth. And it was like, okay, wait, this doesn't really show. I mean, it does show something, but it doesn't show long-term outcomes. So we had a challenge of making sure that our qualitative data and surveys or listening sessions matched up so that we could see a measurement from them year after year. And the other time was, the other thing was just really taking time to review that community assessment and make sure that we captured everything. Because I think our tendency was to go, oh, we assess the community, we got it. But it changed. There's aspects that change. And then as you become more engaged with your community, you see different layers. You have new coalition members, you have different lenses. So appropriately updating that assessment and capturing all the communities within communities and making sure our data lined up time after time.
I think those are really good points. I mean, we do change every year. So I think having that assessment, just taking a good look at the community again, can really inform, you know, your strategies and your activities. Janet.
As far as the process itself, the application process, it was really very easy. And I have to say that, you know, Katrina, you really helped guide us. And, you know, if I had a question, it was always very easy to get help. So I really appreciate all of that. You know, Katka has been amazing. So the process itself is not difficult. It's just making sure, again, like Leanne said, making sure everything lines up. We had old data and we didn't have a survey for many years. And so we were able to sneak in a core measures survey, which we were able to get during the year. And we saw that we had a significant drop in 14% in underage drinking. And so we knew that we did a lot of programs around underage drinking, a lot of advertisements, signage in, you know, in our community. So we knew that, but the data, we weren't sure. And then we were able to get that in along with some other data as well from youth focus groups, which was really key. If you have a youth coalition and you can get them to participate in the focus groups, that really, really helps. And so the process for us, it was a great experience. I can't say that it was difficult. It was work, but you know what? It paid off, and we are just so happy that we did this. So.
Thank you so much, Janet. Last question. What's one piece of advice you would give to potential applicants? Why don't we start with Janet this time?
Well, I would say update your products. Keep them, look at them, review the data. As soon as you get new data, start looking at where it is, because that it's ever changing, right? Your logic models change, you get new data, things change. So update your products and just do the application. Not by yourself though. Definitely, bring everybody to the table, make them feel that they are a whole, part of the process. Even if you're new prevention worker in prevention work or not, it's just a wonderful experience. And it proves, following the SPF and working on these products is really important. And it's a great way to make everyone on your committee or your steering committee or, feel really involved. So I would say update your products and just do it.
Thank you so much, Janet. Leanne?
I'm going to cheat, and I'm going to give you one piece of advice with different steps, because it's really hard to give just one piece of advice. So I would approach this with a project manager lens. And then that would include having a team and somebody who leads it, so that you don't go, oh my goodness, the application's due next week and we still haven't looked at our community assessment. I don't know how you guys function, but that's a reality in my life sometimes. And then really, really using that rubrics. I have a visual right now of my desk during the time that we went through the application, and that laid on my desk as a piece of paper that was just kind of always there. And another thing was the time, making sure that that time in that project management is well scheduled. If you think it's going to take you 5 meetings, I would schedule 10. It's not that it's so difficult or impossibly challenging, but this work does take some focus. So it took a little more time than we thought it might. And again, I want to echo what Janet said, time well spent. I would encourage anyone thinking about applying to apply, because it's not just about the award. It's about making your coalition better and truly creating effective prevention in your community. And that's why we all do this work. And then finally, have somebody that's outside, maybe even take that rubrics and look at it and look at it with a new lens, because you might create a one-pager and think it's just great and find out that something doesn't quite line up, or maybe even spelled a word wrong, or the colors. But so having that outside person, you can hand them the rubrics and say, hey, would you go through this for me and see what you think? And then allowing the time for your group or whoever the lead is to put that feedback in.
That's a good one. I always forget to have someone else kind of look at it, because I mean, you're staring at it for so long. I mean, you're going to miss something at some point because you've been looking at it for too long. So an outside pair of eyes would be really helpful. We did have one question that came in that I wanted to ask you guys. Kendall asked, how do you get a volunteer coalition members invested in updating your products? They've tried to do this, but none show up or are interested in that part of the coalition.
What are they interested is my question, because like a lot of times you can tie in that, what are you interested in? If they're, let's take a really general, if they're interested on reducing youth marijuana use, really the way we do that is have an effective logic model. And that's like a business plan. And so just keeping them informed that this working on these products really do, we don't just do the products to do the products. They really do create the change in community that we want to see.
Okay, so some of that messaging and stuff as you talk about the work, like this is a core piece of the work. Janet, do you have anything to add?
I would just say that, you know, we tend to do like action-oriented meetings when we get together. We have our breakouts, and we find out who's interested in what breakout, because it forces them to do something at the meetings. And so, you know, some people are more into the assessment part, and some people are into the marketing, you know, and everyone has their strengths. Some people like data and some people don't want to go near it. So it's really finding out. And I find that having the one-on-one conversations with people and really building a relationship with your volunteers helps to, you know, understand what they're looking to do and how they're willing to contribute. So that's really an important part of it, the process.
All right, awesome. Thank you so much for those answers. I don't see anything else in the question box, so I think we're all set on this part. Thank you guys so much for answering some questions about the application process and your own experience. I really do hope that this has helped some of these coalitions feel a little bit more comfortable and understand the process a little bit better.
Thanks. And I would say good luck and definitely do it. It's worth it.
Yeah, me too. Good luck, and definitely take the time to do it. It's well worth it, and it's a great experience. And you know, you will love being up there on stage. It's a great feeling to know that all your hard work really gets recognized. So it's a great way to get recognized too in your community as well. You know, make sure that if you are a winner, you're out there promoting all the great work that you're doing in your communities.
Definitely, definitely. Thank you so much, guys.
Thank you.
All right, we shall move on to the next part. Let's see. So I'm going to take this time to just answer some of these other questions about the application process that we have. From Gregory, are we allowed to enhance our NCA products, or do we have to hand them in as is? Definitely enhance them, definitely update them with your most current data and information. That's the one that we want to see, because we're trying to encourage you to use that information for your work in your community. Melissa asked if year 5 DFC coalitions apply. Definitely, if you feel really comfortable, you've been able to achieve outcomes, and you want to gain some of this additional recognition, or of course, additional support from CADGA, I think this is a great way to do so. So definitely apply. Any coalition is open to applying. And we do have one last one. So this is an anonymous one. They've never been through the academy, but is that going to hurt their chances of winning an award or even applying? So once again, anyone is definitely open to applying. I know that might be a little bit barrier, since if you weren't able to go to the academy. However, we did provide those templates as well as the rubric. And, you know, as long as that information is there and you are able to show outcomes, then definitely still apply. I think it would be beneficial. It's a good exercise in looking at, really taking a look at your coalition's work and structure. So yeah, so if you guys have any questions about the application, feel free to reach out to me at gotoutcomes@cadga.org. I'm happy to provide any support and answer any questions that you guys might have after this webinar or throughout the application process as you are developing it. The deadline is Tuesday, July 26th before midnight. So you do have about a month and a half, almost 2 months. Something like that. So you should be able to have some time to get together with your coalition members and your community to really look at your products and update them in time for July 26th. You'll have to submit your application materials as one file. The accepted formats are listed there, and you'll be able to do that through our online application form. And that'll also be up on the website as well. Just to give you a general timeline of looking at everything, So the applications for phase 1 are due July 26th. We give our trainers about a month and a half to really go through all of this lovely work. And then we'll let you guys know by September. And then going into phase 2, this gives you about a month to do phase 2 applications, and those would be due October 11th. From there, towards the end of the year, that's when we'll announce our winners. And of course, our winners will get to present at the National Leadership Forum in 2023. So that's a quick rundown of what that looks like. And so that's really about it. Thank you guys again for coming to this webinar. You can visit our website, which I've posted up there for more information for the different rubrics and requirements. It's all up on the website, but if you have any issues, once again, please feel free to reach out to me at gotoutcomes@catca.org. And we really look forward to your application for GOT Outcomes and also seeing a new class of Blue Ribbon Coalitions. I think that's it. Thank you all so much for joining us today.